Take a look before we get started. I don't even know where the front is actually. This is the part that was trying to be air layer that failed. Now that the air has turned nice and crisp, now I can wear my long sleeve. I start to work on my pines again. As a review, this is the one that had the air layering attempt failed, but now I think it's time for it to be restyled or more towards finalization. So what I'm going to do is to first remove these long ones and see what kind of shape we have in there. It's a good idea to get rid of these real tall ones that's going almost straight up. We want to save things. So by doing this, we could now see what we have to work with. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing. I'm just getting rid of a lot of the things that are going up. Now this one is not going completely up, but sort of sideways. I'm going to save that. Something like this is more obvious, so I'll get rid of those. Now that I've had a chance to look closer, I plucked out some needles, cut off some minor branches, and I go up. I think this is our front. I usually call it the tentative front because as we work on this thing, it might change its looks again. But let me go ahead and spin this thing around. Now, a lot of these needs to be cut back, especially if they're back branches. But what I wanted to do mainly was to locate the front based on how the trunk's working. And so it comes up, and then of course I'm going to have to deal with creating a new apex. So let me study that and let's get back. It seems to me this growth here came later. I had it more or less halfway styled, and then this one came because of the time I let it grow. So if I just cut this back, and same thing with this, I'm closer to my original design. So now what I'm going to do is go inside and more carefully start cleaning up. Saving the right one and taking away the unnecessary. That's why it takes a little bit more time now. The first set of cuts, I was just getting rid of all the very vigorous growth that came on after. Now I'm starting to pick the proper ones, shortening. Once again, the pines, especially black pines, they tend to grow heavier, more vigorously on top. So when we get done here today, the top should be a lot thinner looking than the bottom. We're also trying to make sure that each one of the branches are shorter and with smaller branches off of that branch so that we could keep it tight and compact. And so those real long ones that came out, they were unnecessary, except to invigorate the plant and then to a large extent to fatten up the trees. But now I'm into the process of finding the proper permanent branch and to start actually styling this thing. So you were looking at the front, now the back. We don't need all this. Back branch should be somewhat shorter. So I'm going to look for the proper small branches. I have this prune. This was my tentative front, but because of this branch, I wonder if it needs to turn so that it's more like so. Or I could take this whole thing off and let this become the branch in its place. But see what I mean by tentative front? It could change very much more in the future. So for now, I think I'm going to let it sit at this stage. I still haven't decided what to do with this. I could flush cut, gin, or whatever. But at this point, I think it's still premature to say this is exactly what I want to do. I'm looking at some of these other angles, especially if this one comes off, we might even use this as the front. So what I'm going to do is to put it back in the original 15-gallon container and let it grow some more. After spending, what, 20, almost 30 years on this thing, what's another few more years? And that's the... Let's look at how much I pruned off. And what's left. The pines, especially the black pines, can take this extreme pruning without any problems.